Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. I have been having a busy one. It's been one of those days where you've got X amount of things that you're getting done. A lot of things were coming to their conclusion all at once. And, it's feel good stuff. But it's juggling. And it's juggling apples. Here's what I find. When you're completing projects, and especially when a couple of projects come to head at the same time, then it feels there's an impermanence to it, or an insecurity to it, because you're not sure, have I done all the things I need to do for this? Is this one done? Do I move on? Do I put this through? Because, okay, hold on, where am I on this one? Where am I on that one? So that's the challenge of doing a couple things at the same time, is that it sort of leaves you feeling like, you're so used to putting those apples up in the air that you're never really sure that you can set the apples down. So, apples. Yeah. So I hope everybody's had a good week. It's a Friday. You know what that means? It's not Monday. I'm leaning back. Everybody, I haven't got an... I've lost my mind. Okay. So, with that in mind, I posted today the Gelli Cruise, Part 1. And so I did a page that I posted an image yesterday that was just good, silly fun. And with good, silly fun, I put up this. There's something about this boat. So here's where my headspace is, and I'll let you in on this. Don't be afraid. So, how many different ways can we explore the same story is where my head is going at today. And this is probably what I should have put in the header for this video. But, how many different ways can we explore one story idea? In this case, the story idea that's been suggested is a woman is arrested on a cruise ship for a strange jelly thing in her purse, and her husband denies ever having seen it. So, and that came from Cat and Pace. Thank you, Cat. And so, right off the hop, the first thing that I'd done is that I was really enjoying this image of the cruise ship, and I had an awful lot of fun with putting some color value to it, and these glints of light, and just giving it a little bit of pizzazz. And so I thought, why rush through coloring a whole page where I have some conviction about this image itself? And so that's why I posted this as a standalone thing. And then this one, the complete image, I just carried it over to it because I enjoyed it. Excuse me. Chris says, hello, stopping by before going to work. Hello, Chris, how are you? And I hope you're having a fantastic day. So the idea with that examination is that first image that I did of Gelli Cruise, there's something about this boat, and I know what you think it is. That's not it. It's not that. Stay tuned to this here channel. Not a channel guy. We're going to show you. Who's this we? Just be patient. No, you be patient. Ridiculousness. It's just ridiculousness. But it's just, silly diatribe off the top of the head. But that sort of, hey, something's going to happen here, and farcically applied is one perspective. And then when, I do Gelli Cruise Part 1, and I utilize the image for what it was intended, which is the first panel of this page, and then I fill in the dialogue as was originally presented as the idea, and that is the captain saying, ladies and gentlemen. The part is because there's a fella that my wife and I have known for many, many years, who's retired now, but he was really baritone voice, and whenever he spoke, he'd go, it's really good to see you, and I hope you're having a great day. So, for some reason, I'm channeling him. We're just, Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. so that's inserting some sort of story, some dialogue type for my own benefit. Just April, how you doing? Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Hope you had a good retreat, by the way. So this version of it is pretty utilitarian in the sense that here's the captain saying, somebody's brought something on the board, and we got to make sure it doesn't contravene ship policies. Now, no cruise ship is going to shut itself down because somebody brought something. It's just not realistic. But in the confines of our narrative, it is. It works for us. And so, the fact that the ship's crew was going to go door to door saying, "Hi, did you bring something on board that you weren't supposed to?" It's not going to happen. So, now bear in mind, I've never ridden on a cruise ship, so maybe it is. I don't know, but for the most part, I think it would be incredibly inefficient to do that. However, for the course of our narrative, this works. But what this leads us to, in the to be continued business at the bottom, what this leads us to is the opportunity for what comes next. Now, I'm going to switch over to the overhead here. And here is our crazy original note, okay, that we put together in roughing out this page idea. And with our crazy original note, what ended up coming together was we looked at the key 4 points of the page: woman arrested, cruise ship, strange jelly thing in her purse, husband didn't see it. Okay? And so we looked at those 4 points, and we started off by introducing the cruise ship. Now the layout of this page has changed. You can see how the top half, the original cruise ship, was placed above this. And then we had a floating panel inside that, and then so on and so forth. But this one works as well in the landscape format. So, Just April says, back. YouTube hates me today. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. We all love you, YouTube, and please be kind. So, be kind to April. Come on. So there's our top half of this page, right? From here down, or from here up, is this first thing that I posted today. And then now we've got this bottom half of our initial layout for us to examine. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I hope this is a benefit for folks, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this piece of blank paper, and we're going to chase down the original breakdown idea that we had, for one, okay, but then we're also going to explore furthering that avenue. And I'm not talking about developing a gigantic book idea out of this one suggestion, but what I'm referring to is, where else can this be explored? Now, one of the things I put in today's header for the video was, cosmic horror in comics. Now, I'm not a big horror guy. Clearly, I don't make an awful lot of big, scary horror comics and post them on to do with the stream and to do with the one-page stuff. But there is something to be said for horror done right. You know what? I'm going to change to this. Okay? Okay. Sounds good, Chris. I'm glad we're all on this together. So, and then we're going to do another one right here like so. By goodness, it works. So, what I'm referring to when I'm talking about cosmic horror is the unknown. It's the fear of the unknown, the grander thing. Chris says I'm back, and YouTube is not being okay today. Well, I hope that you and everybody else has an okay time with how I'm doing a stream here. If it cuts in and out live, I'm just going to continue going, because when the video part comes together, there's a new program in YouTube, and this is probably what's causing some challenges, but there's a new thing in YouTube that it can stream clearly what's going on. Or maybe it's stream StreamYard that is in. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going. And I'm sorry if people get bounced or whatnot today. Nothing to do with me. But it is being somewhat disagreeable today, this program. So here's our 2 pages. Okay. Now, we've already done our first page exploring this idea. Okay. And I'm sorry it's challenging to see with the light green. There's not much I can do to make it stand out any better. So, even if I zoom in on it, you're just going to see a piece of it. So, anyways, it's this. I'll just do this. Okay, so here's the page we did today. Now, we've already done a silly, farcical little preamble about the ship. There's something wrong with this ship. So, we did that version of it. And then we've gone and done this first page where it is in accordance to what we've laid out already. Just pretty much straightforward. The captain saying, folks, we're going to stop everything on a ship so we can search one lady's bag. Because that makes sense. And so then our next course of action, the lower half of this page, includes these other elements. The woman's got to get arrested. We got to show that she's got a strange jelly thing in her purse. And the husband goes, I didn't know she brought that with her. You know. It's okay. Just you just do you. There's always replay. Okay. Yeah, I apologize. I don't mean to be dismissive. I'm just I'm just going to keep rocking, and we're going to trust and believe that it's going to work for us. Okay, so we've got 2 setups. There's this bottom half of this page here where we've laid out that the captain and the crew are going to speak to the lady about what's in her purse. And, the husband's going to say, I didn't know you brought that. And, she's going to get arrested for whatever other extreme reason. Like the extremity of searching an entire ship for one weird jelly thing. And, but it's just for making art and crafts. That was the original summation to it, right? So, that's our first approach, all right? This is page 2. Can you see that? Yeah, approaches. And so number 1 is what we've detailed before, and then number 2 is where this is the switch, and this is where what I'm referring to with the cosmic horror part. Now we've laid out page 1 as we can start with a panel that has the captain in it. Okay, and he's being appraised that, sir, we've discovered the lady that has something in her purse. You might want to come down here, sir. So he goes down, and here they are at the door, and then we can have a panel where she says, and then this will be the lady, and crew, cap, confront, lots of C's, lady, all right, at door. So then, and then there's the lady's response, and then it gives us the space to do the summation part of our story, and that is, we'll do it, and we'll break it down into 3 panels, just keeping nice differentiation of shapes, right? So we'll break this down as 3 panels, and that she's broken bylaws, whatever, okay, and she is gonna have to be arrested, and then the husband says, and then there's the hubby moment where he says, what? I didn't know you brought that. And she says, it's for making art. And we reveal it's the jelly plate. So there's our big reveal. So that is the one that we detailed here, right? Right. Now, let's look at the same motif, and this is where the cosmic horror aspect is going to kick in. We've established the mundanity of the situation. Here's the boat, right? It's a beautiful sunny day. There's people playing shuffleboard on a deck. There's a lady wandering around with her purse. There's the captain saying, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, everybody." Also, there's going to be a banquet on the luau deck. So we've established this sort of bright and airy, comfortable scenario in this narrative. Okay, so we've sort of set a tone for our readers to feel comfortable. The boat is on placid water. There's lovely blue skies with some clouds in the air, and here's the simple things that are going on. So, also a quick reminder, there'll be a banquet on the luau deck, and so then when we go to this second page now, if we want to do it from this horror angle, or this cosmic horror angle specifically, one of the ways that we can go about doing so is to take these elements and to continue to step into this narrative, but to approach it from a completely different way. And so we'll have the captain, who, again, first panel, here's the captain, and then we'll get down here, basically. They're saying, "Sir, you might want to come down here," but we just wrote down "get down here" to surmise it, right? So there's our first panel. That's still the same. And so now when we arrive, we're going to come at the same shape language again for the panel. We might shake up the rest of the page here, but just bear with me for a second. So, so they're at the door, so they're at the cabin, and a bit of chaos. Let's just change up the game. So if you imagine the same hallway, but there's a bit of chaos involved. Okay, there's some black stain around the door, or there's when the door opens, it's fairly dark, and lady, you can call into the darkness of the room, and lady, and so then this is where the horror element comes in, because it's the unknown that is the cosmic horror aspect. And so when we look at our same story that has this light and lovely sort of placidity to it, when we step into the horror aspect of it and the cosmic horror aspect of it, it is really just about it's really just about offsetting the comfort level of things. So if we go to the cabin door, a bit of chaos around the door, and so we'll put around the door, and as the door opens, there's a door opens to darkness. There you go. So that's offset the whole sense of things now. We've got our bright and sunny boat, and our sort of hey, this is kind of what's going on around this door. What's in? So you got to take a look inside, and the door opens, and it's darkness. So now the tone of our story changes, and depending on the coloring motif that we apply to it, and depending on the way that we illustrate our panels now, it's just darkness. It's just now here comes the unknown horror aspect to it. So, this is where the captain can, we can go to a shot where we have the captain standing in front of the door, mainframe, yeah, and some of the crew, looking from behind, the captain as he's standing here at the mouth of the darkness, right? And, he can say, "Ma'am," and then the next thing we show is the lady comes out of the darkness and holding her purse. And she's, and we'll have her step forward. And of course this is all darkened out, but you can see how the whole tone of the thing has changed now, because it's what's going on. It's the mystery of it all, right? And then as the camera pans up to her, and she looks a little bit weary, and she says, I brought this in my purse, shows it forward. And this is where the whole scary element of it all comes together. And so we have two options here. If we want to have some sense of continuance to it, then we go on further. Or if we want to make some sort of definitive action statement for this part of the story, we can have, there's a couple different things that we can do. We can have everybody get sort of yeeted, yanked right into the room there and swallowed up in the darkness and screams and blah, 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 and not really see what's going on. And thereby continuing the idea of it as a cosmic horror in the sense that we truly don't know what's been happening. She's brought some jelly thing in her purse, and all she has to say in this context is, my husband, he never saw me pack it, and so we fit that whole, the husband denying ever having seen it. We can put that motif in there. Another approach of this is, it's him that steps out of this, holding the purse. And he says, and he holds it forward and says, this is, my wife brought this, my wife brought this with her. She packed it up and brought it with her. And so it's the husband and not the lady in this context. And, well, where's your wife now, sir? Dun, dun, dun. Cosmic unknown. The problem with this is that it's a little static, in the sense that by ending with, even if everybody gets sort of yanked into the door, right, the captain and the crew, where they're like, oh, look out, and they're pulled inside this darkness. Well, what's gone on? It leaves the reader with so many questions because it's a short story. Another motif that we could apply to that same conclusion is that as the husband says, here's my wife's thing, my purse, or her purse that she brought, and I had no idea that she brought this with her. And in that final panel, as we have the crew, or we can have a secondary panel right here where the crew are looking at it like apprehensively, what is in this? Do we want to even touch it? So I guess it would be more like a, hands sort of, the hands are up, but they're not really ready to accept whatever this is, right? And as the object is being offered to them by the husband's arm, and then you've got the other crew members, one's behind the captain here and the other one's still sort of looking in this regard off to the side, but the whole focus is drawn in on him and this incident. Chris says, husband's plan to get rid of his wife, maybe? That could be another idea, but that's more mundane than it is cosmic. That's more mundane than it is the unknown, in the sense that that's a recognizable thing. A husband said, my wife brought this purse and something was in it. If it turns out that it's just a guy's plan to get rid of his wife, it's not really cosmic horror. So if he offers this here in this panel, and the captain's reticent to take it, and so on and so forth, one of the other approaches that we can do for that last panel is have a breakaway, in the sense like we move all of these panels over just a little bit more, just condense this down, but by having multiple panels, we're expediting the sense of pacing and the sense of dread towards the conclusion. But on that last panel, you can have the captain and his hand up as a big tentacle thing has reached forward from whatever's going on in this cabin. And you could even be so bold as to push this story element as to have it wrap around some of these other panels that precede it. But this panel is breaking out with whatever is inside and coming out of the darkness. So we've still got the blackness here, but out of the blackness comes all of this awkwardness and this craziness. And And then, to be even more cheeky, so this first element that I showed of the Gelli Cruise boat, the first page that we showed with the boat on the water, okay, and I'm going to throw my phone away because I'm getting messages that I don't want to read right now. So if we got the boat on the water, and we've done our story part 1, we've done our story part 2, and then we can do this boat on the water image again, okay, but we can really shake it up and have a cloudy sky and the boat as though it's in the grip of some kind of big unknown tentacled monster, jelly monster that's dragging the boat under the water. And so a simple one lovely approach and straightforward approach without all this menacing aspect to it is this misunderstanding, the comedic misunderstanding of this is a jelly plate for making art and crafts and abstract printing with, or you know, we have this whole cosmic gothic horror thing. It's the same story, you know, and one of the things would be to readdress this first static image page of just the boat and to make it a little less farcical and silly, like I put it out, you know, 2 days ago or yesterday or whenever I put it out, that says there's something on this boat. What's on the boat? You know, I remove all that and it's just, we do it as though it's a little more static. You know, there's something on this boat, and just do it like so. And then when we turn the page over and we see the page 1 that I posted, so if we start here but without all the silly text, and we just do there's something happening on this boat, and then the next image is this page. Well, what is it that's happening on the boat? We've, you know, so people read through it. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't switch the camera. So as we start with, there's something on this boat, and nothing further than that as our first paged image, and then we jump over to this situation. The reader is, there's something going on in this boat. You know, some lady's got some jelly thing. I wonder what it could, somebody smuggling jellyfish. It doesn't. Who knows what it is? But it might be something. And so there we go. You know, there's the course of our story, and then if we conclude it with our first approach, which is the thing that we detailed out before, where we've got, you know, Captain, if you can come down, we've discovered who's got the object, sir. And the captain and the crew confront the lady at the door, and the lady says, I didn't think there'd be any problem. It's just I feel inspired. And, well, man, there's bylaws about bringing strange objects like this onto the ship. You know, you have them flopping in the air or whatever it is. And, sir, did you know about this? No, this is our holiday. I didn't know she brought it. And then, ma'am, we're going to have to take you in and get to the bottom of this. And so as she's being arrested and led away, she's like, it's for making art, you know. it's just, that's a very different ending than going into this whole monstrous octopus thing attacking everybody on the boat and sinking the boat by the end of it. So, you know, it's my point is that we can explore this in different ways. And just 1 second, just hold off for now. Sorry, this is a job thing I have to do. Yeah, okay. There we go. All right. So we've got two different. Sorry, I had to do that. I had to answer that. I apologize, everybody. So we've got two different perspectives here on what we can do with the same story. Now, another way would be, you know, they open up the cabin door. This lady has got some jelly thing that she's brought on board, and they open the cabin door, and there's an entire production department going on in this cabin of making jelly plated images. And sir, you know, I didn't know she brought it. We're supposed to be on vacation. She never stops, you know. It's another perspective on it, where, you know, it's still somewhat lighthearted, but it's still not going that scary horror route, you know. And yeah, so it's fun to just take the same story idea and to explore different possible avenues on where you can take that with you. Like, if there's any other ideas that people have, like Chris put forward a husband's plan to get rid of his wife, and you know, that could turn into a whole big engrossing story, like a short story where all that, you know, is here is this challenge with that whole husband's plan to get rid of his wife is that she's getting arrested for having a jelly thing in her purse. So that's more of a meandering story, because we have to somehow fulfill the obligation of the suggestion, which is those key 4 points. And, you know, she's being arrested. So is it an elaborate plan for a wife to get rid of the husband? And he's the jelly thing in her purse, you know. And I mean, that would make more sense than the husband's plan. It would more appropriately be the wife's plan, I would think, because the husband's plan is just an additional point we're putting on top of things. Now, bear in mind, the whole cosmic horror element of it is an additional point. But I think you see what I'm trying to say, is that it's one farther step removed from the core element, which is, you know, lady's going to get arrested, and that's why the cabin and the crew are at that door, is that they're going to have to bring her in and arrest her. And the husband says, you know, you can't arrest her, she's gone. Here's her purse. Blah, blah, blah. Now, Chris has got another great suggestion, which is the alien jelly stuff she found somewhere. That's an awful lot of fun. What is the alien jelly stuff? And what's going to happen from the weird alien jelly stuff she's got in her purse? See, so that still follows the course of our story. Man, we can't. Where'd you find this? I found it by this big silver-looking disc thing. It's like a boat, maybe. I don't know. You know, and have it be this silly. Well, no, this is clearly weirdo alien stuff. Or even taking that a step farther, and the man and the woman are aliens. Right? It still fits within the purview of this stuff. And he's like, well, I've never saw her package this up. And they're like, sir, why do you have little sucker tips on the end of your fingers or whatever else? And they're both arrested. Susanna says, I like the idea of the jelly plate, but that would be a twist if the ship is eaten by a jellyfish or an octopus. Yeah, you know, this is just taking it in a really dark and different direction. And the reason that I'm referring to it as in the sense of cosmic horror is that there's an element so far beyond our knowing, somebody's going to immediately look at it and go, it's just a big octopus. So how can we differentiate it in some regards so that you know it's not an octopus? Maybe by having multiple mandibles, you know, the little beak-like mandibles that octopuses have, and having multiple ones of those shown, or you know, or maybe one on the end of every octopus arm or appendage. It actually has a biter at the end of that, so you know it's not just an octopus. You know, or the jellyfish idea of they open the door and gelatin spills right out of the cabin, and the wife and the husband flow out on a. Well, let's look at this one. Okay, let's try this. So we're going to try. I just thought it'd be fun to explore different avenues that we can take story down. And I hope everybody's cool with that. Who knows what we can come up with, right? So we've got our page 1. We'll leave that as wrote. Okay, the Gelli Cruise part 1. Now, part 2, okay, is Captain. we'll do this panel. Captain, can you come down? And it comes down to the cabin door, and there's the captain and the crew standing at the cabin door. And here they are, knockety knock, knock, knock. And so when, you know, we could sell it a little more by having him, you know, knock again, Johnson. And they knock one more time, knock, knock. And so then it becomes, you know, you can either have a panel right beside this that says the door is opening, and as the door starts to open, out spills this tidal wave of goo. And you can have the crew getting swept up and washed away in it. You know, and all this spills out of this cabin door. Excuse me. And with that comes the husband and wife. And so this is one perspective we can take on this. Now, if we follow up with the next panel, has everybody sitting on the ground in this hallway, and you know, they're all covered in slime and goo, and you know, this is where it takes it even further. So it would require us moving over to a third page for the captain to say, you know, hey lady, and then she says, you know, I'm so sorry for all of this, and we get to draw an entire page of people completely covered in goo or jelly. And there's different ways that we can end this. I mean, it's I just thought I'd bring some jelly, and I found some jelly at this nice quaint little roadside place in the Bahamas where we stopped, or whatever it was. And so, you know, you can have a couple different takes. There's something she picked up, right, from a vendor, or you can have, and the husband, you know, and of course the hubby is going to deny each one, right? He's going to deny each one. Or you can say, you know, I brought jelly plate, but it melted in the sun. But melted, you know, and of course it melted a lot, right? Like, I mean, all the stuff spilling out of the music, yuck. And then you've got, so there's the one option there, there's another option there, put that parenthetical so that you know that applies to each one. And then, or we can have another option of, what did Chris just say? The Kraken offspring jelly. Oh, well, there we go. So, okay, so this leads into the horror aspect. It was a jelly egg, you know, and then somebody says, for what? And she says, this cute little octopus baby, and then the ship starts rumbling. So, I mean, again, it's just taking the story in so many different directions. This baby, and then the ship shakes, right? And then we close it off with the ship being wrenched into the ocean by big scary monsters. And or, you know, so this again follows this horror element, right? This is just follows into our silly element, and somebody can go pick up some of the stuff off the ground and go, it tastes like strawberry, you know, which is so dumb, but it's flip-flopping the reader around so that we can carry them through this thing. We come to it with placidity, and we enter into this crazy over-the-top thing that happens, and then we step it back down to the mundane, and that it's some weird kind of explosive strawberry jelly. Is an extreme example of something like that would never ever happen in this regard, that somebody brings a jelly thing in their purse and it explodes and fills an entire cabin and subsequently a hallway? No, but that's our story, and the rules of physics belong entirely to us in our heads. So The idea of the jelly offspring is fantastic. The kraken offspring and jelly is another fantastic one. I like the idea of the jelly plate, but you like the twist of the jellyfish or the octopus monster. Alien jellyfish or alien jelly stuff she found somewhere. So again, with the alien one, right? As they open up the ship, and you can have. So let's do that in this regard. Let's look at it like this. And the captain, come on down. Captain comes on down, opens up the door. The lady answers, or the lady answers the door, right? Crew, cap. Okay, so she answers the door, and the captain says, you know, he's got his hands on his hips, and he says, "Ma'am, you can't bring gooey stuff on the ship." And so he's scolding her there, and then she opens the purse, and so we can have a panel where it's just, here she is opening the lid of the purse, and we can give it some dramatic intent by having dun dun dun, big purse there, and inside the purse is this weird, you know, googly gelatin monster comes squiggling out from the confines of said purse. And so we cut back into this image again, but confine it within the panel, and then you know, it comes the arresting and the husband saying, "I don't know where she got it," you know. So it's the same. So there's the arrest. She's like, "But it's so cute," you know. And then here's the hubby denial. You know, it's a different take. It's, you know, you can have the cute blobby alien in there, and the whole, "Ma'am, you can't be picking these things up at the, you know, these little vendors at the sides of ships." And, "Well, I just thought it was cute," you know. So it just takes away a lot of that direction into the scary horror element of it, and makes it more of a lighthearted thing where she's got this cute little snuggly, googly alien that is jelly based and whatever. But again, this story steps it away one step removed from the standard misunderstanding story that we're starting with, of the captain saying, "Man, we can't bring strange things onto the ship, and you know, we're gonna have to, you know, take into custody right now and get to the bottom of this." And as he's arresting her, it's a jelly plate. It's for making art and crafts. So I leaned towards the microphone. I'm so sorry for that. So that's straightforward. That's the most realistic one of these stories that we can put together. Pardon me. Frog in my throat. Ribbit. And then we go from that to extreme to comedic one. The strawberry funny one, and the Kraken baby, or just the straight cosmic horror. So all of those different versions of the same story point beginning. It's almost like a choose your own adventure way of establishing which way you're going to go someplace in a narrative. And as long as we leave ourselves open and receptive, pardon me, to these possibilities, if I sit up straight might help. As long as we leave ourselves open and receptive to these potentialities that we can take story in, there's no ends to the different kind of avenues that these can lead down, these notions. And with that in mind, you can start with one simple course and then move it into so many different directions. One of the fun thing to try might be to start with an initial page, if people would be interested in this. One thing to try might be to start with an initial page like we did with, well, we're going to have to search everybody's rooms, right? Pardon me. We're going to have to search everybody's rooms. And then each subsequent page is different versions of what happens after the rooms are searched. So putting that together in some sort of structure, like a choose your own adventure book or something like that. There's different ways that we could do that to make it a little more elaborate. Like the next page would be him talking, the whole knocking at the door and the crew meeting and knock, 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 can you open this? And then at the bottom of that second page would be, if somebody answers the door, turn to page whatever. If if the husband opens the door, turn to this page. If the wife opens the door, turn to this page. If they open the door up to darkness, turn to this page. And from those pages forward, you can have the different results coming through out of it. So you can parcel down all of these aspects of stories, find the commonality between them, which would be the whole setup of, we're going to have to search the cabins, and then we're at the cabin, bang, 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 can somebody open the door? And then it leads to A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. An alien spaceship hovers down above the cruise ship and shoots a beam of light that picks up whatever's in this lady's purse. Could be an ending. I mean, there's so many different ways that this can be done. And that might be part of the fun for a larger project. If anybody would ever be interested in doing that, I encourage you to do so. And then the application to this approach would be, and we'll use the back of this. So the application to this approach would be, let's see, right in the back of this first. So if you've got your opening scene and setting that is mundane, right? And there's no, and in this scene, this opening scene and this setting have no intimation towards anything that's going to take place at all. Outside of the confines of this opening structured element of, it's a letter carrier walking down the street, it's ice cream truck pulling up onto a street, it's the captain saying we're going to have to search the cabins, it's a police officer pulling a car over on the side of the highway. Whatever it is, it's a typical thing. It's just a regular world occurrence that could happen in the reality that we live in. Okay, so you do the opening scene setting, and then you introduce, the next element would be you introduce an underlying problem. And so with the underlying problem, that would be, I'm pulling you over, I'm delivering mail to a weird house, either there's something wrong with what's inside the ice cream truck, or something weird walks up to it, or somebody's brought something on board the ship, and we're going to have to, make sure it doesn't contravene the safety regulations for naval vessels, or for seagoing vessels. Whatever it is, okay? So you introduce the underlying problem. And so what you've got from that is now your potential moment of conflict or differentiation in the story. And so if we start there, this is where this would be our point, okay, where we break off into different avenues, right? We introduce our underlying problem, and then whatever our principal character is, this would probably actually be the end of the divergence. The point of divergence would be the principal character, starts the action. So, and what I mean by starts the action is the ice cream truck pulls up, and then the kid looks inside the truck and there's nobody there, and hey, I just want some ice cream. That starts the action. Or the captain and the crew go up to the cabin door, knock, knock, knock. That starts the action. Or the kid goes to deliver mail and he misses the front door of the creepy house, and he puts it in the bushes, and if he does that one more time at one more location, he's going to get fired. So he has to go and get the newspaper and put it on the porch. Or when the policeman pulls over the car, walks up to the car windows, it's pure black inside. Whatever it is, that's the action moment. Okay, that's the divergence moment. So whatever the random story, and I'm giving 4 different examples and carrying them through, but wherever the randomness of your story starts, this is the moment. So whatever initial idea you come up with, for this, what's it called? Multiple choice, I guess. Choose your own adventure is actually a licensed thing. You can't call something choose your own adventure. But this multiple choice story that we have here. So from this divergence point right here, where your story can diverge into all kinds of different directions, this is where you get to choose, if A, page 5, if B, page 6. So A would be if the husband answers the door at the cabin. B would be the wife answers the door at the cabin. C would be the door opens and it's pure darkness. D would be the door opens and gelatin spills out. So that is where you can now take your story and to start showing all the different opportunities and avenues that it can go in. The reason that I'm going through all of this with you is because I thought maybe I'll do an A and a B version and post one later on and then one tomorrow or something like that, just for fun. And in the course of doing so, I realized I honestly do this kind of thing on the fly every time I come up with a one-page story. I try to look at the suggestion in that's given, whatever it is, and to look at it and say, well, there's 2 different approaches I can take to this. I can take a direct route, right? I can do the direct story, which takes the suggestion and tries to actualize it on a page as wrote. A woman's arrested on a cruise ship because she brought her gelatin plate in her purse, and her husband's like, honey, so they're getting kicked off the cruise ship. That's pretty straightforward. And then there's the way I look at things, where you can look at it from a humorous aspect, you can look at it from just an odd turn, so that you're translating what's been given, but it might not be the way that the suggestee, I guess is the term, had initially intended. Susanna says, but if A is B, then C, or if it's a D, then D. We never end the story. Well, that's a beautiful thing about multiple choice stories. Well, there's endings. There's definitely endings, because when you get to the third course of action and following the one path, Kraken monsters eat the ship. Game over, right? If it's lady arrested because of gel plates, in her purse, game over. Misunderstanding, ending, right? If it ends with the whole crew is covered in strawberry jam, it's an ending. And so you could technically figure out a way to be to introduce a time paradox ending where it sinks you back to the beginning again. So there's your multiple ending approach, but one of them, of course, you could have cycle through again and again if a person keeps making those choices. Time paradox. So I either do things directly, or I take a turn on them. Like I'll try to do it, but in a sort of a silly fashion. I'll take the course of action that's suggested for the page. I had a page I did last year of Tom Cruise opening a jar of peanut butter, and it's absurd. What a fantastically absurd suggestion, because there's 2 different ways that you could do that. You could do it very seriously if here's Tom Cruise, like a Mission Impossible adventure where he's trying to open the peanut butter. or you could do it like some sort of big Scientology conspiracy thing about the peanut butter and the different rites of passage in the Scientologist belief system for when are you sufficient to open the peanut butter. Susanna says a twist. It's all a dream or a nightmare. There you go. I mean, that fits in there as well. So, yeah. Well, where have we got that? Was I writing? Yeah, I think it was over here. Okay, so there you go. Look, you got your time paradox. You got your dream or nightmare. Okay, and even with the dream or nightmare, he can't be sure he's. The husband sits up and he can't be sure he's awake. I imagine you brought your jelly plate with you, and I didn't know you'd packed that. And then she says, "Wait a minute, the captain's making an announcement." And we go back to the beginning again of, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. So even that dream or nightmare ending could cycle the reader back to the beginning again, to page 1. Because he's not sure if he's awake. No, he's still within a layer of the dream. He's actually still on the boat. The captain's about to make the announcement. And then the reader can have a different course of actions. So that might be a piece of fun, is to figure out, even in the crazy monster spills out of the room. Well, you can have the monster, spill out of the room, touch the captain's forehead, and it wakes up, and then we go back to the beginning of page 1 where, the captain's making the announcement again. The alien monster says this didn't happen, and touches his forehead. Go back to page 1, and then we follow a different course of action. And each of our endings we can have really try to figure out a way to take us back to the beginning. The only one that's problematic for is really the first one that we talked about, where she's getting arrested because of a misunderstanding about what the jelly thing in her purse is. Because how do you have that turn into a dream or a nightmare without it being, like I said before, an additional factor added onto it? And the other things you can work in dream or nightmare, and the other things you can work in a time paradox, and the other things you can work in mental enslavement from an octopus jelly monster that was in a woman's purse. But when it comes to woman gets arrested and from a misunderstanding, it's hard to reset that one. So maybe that's the true ending. Maybe that would be the course of action that takes you to actually the proper ending of what our story is. So it's fun to explore all these different avenues that we can take a story down. But like I said, I'll look at it from a direct way. Somebody likened it to pardon me, so much better with a lozenge. Somebody likened it to, it's almost like I take suggestions and I aim the arrow directly at it, but I hit the target beside it. I get a bullseye, but it's on the target directly to the side. And it's like I transliterate the suggestion that's been made, but having it nothing to do to resemble the suggestion that they might have intended. Susanna says he's in his bed, and the wife says, "Roll over, you're having a nightmare." Oh boy, no cruise. Well, there you go, Susanna. I mean, that's exploring another avenue yet again. So, with looking at any story ideas that are suggested, or any initial ideas that you might come across, you can come at it from trying to describe it specifically. You can look at it as trying to have a take or an angle on it. You can look at, that might not be directly what was suggested. So instead of it being just a regular lady with a strange jelly thing in her purse, they're aliens. Or it's a monster in there. Or it's a jelly plate in there. All these different versions is different approaches we have to our storytelling. sometimes if you're having a challenge of trying to come up with a story to do, and this is something that I often hear from people when they're like, you do one a day, that doesn't make any sense, or it's so you're just just drawing whatever ideas people give you, and not necessarily. I'm definitely doing it from my approach and my vantage point, right? But if you wanted to try this, because I truly don't believe I don't know where to start from, or I don't know, I don't have any ideas. Ideas are just floating in the air if we just figure out ways to pluck them out of there, right? So if you sit down, and I'd encourage people to do this. When I say encourage, it's kind of like a challenge, but I encourage people to take out a pen and a piece of thing to write on, and to write down whatever's going on around you right now in the simplest way you can. My cat is cleaning itself in the chair, right? A light bulb on the lamp in the corner is flickering because the light is dying, and I need to replace the bulb. That's not happening in this room, but that could be a thing. Or my ankles are cold because I didn't wear socks with my slippers. Something like that. Whatever it is, if you write this down, just this point, okay? And there's two things you can do from it. You can either address this right now, or you can do something else. Whether it's you have to do some chores around the house, or you have another obligation that you have to fulfill, or you're still in your working day, and but take this idea, whatever the silliness, simplicity of the thing is, and give yourself a moment to think about it, and then sit down to it. And what are different ways that you can do this? Cat is cleaning itself. I hate when the cat does that. It's gross, and I wish an anvil would drop out of the sky and squish the cat. Nonsense, But that's a story. That is something for you to do. That is the availability of options on what we draw. And the cat is cleaning itself. Wouldn't it be weird if humans cleaned ourselves that way? A very different story, very different take, very different approach to it. But my point is that from the most simple and mundane of things, we should be able to, if we allow ourselves to just play in our own heads, come up with all kinds of different outcomes, all kinds of different directions. A cat is cleaning itself in the chair. It suddenly starts emanating light, and the cat enters into prayer, and this fantastic holy miracle, and it's still the cat on the chair. It's what you do with it. And this is the thing, okay? There's no right or wrong answer for that. There's no right or wrong. You've done this the wrong way. I think you should have gone this way. This is yours, and you're doing it for you. At the end of the day, the suggestions that people make, and the word prompts, and the ideas, and the piece of dialogue, I love that people are, coming forward and throwing those at me. I love it. I'm inviting your chaos. I'm inviting your, nonsensicality, whatever it is. I'm encouraging you to do that, because ideally what that might do for you is incite some creative direction yourself. I know what I'll do. I'll come up with something to stump them, and you think about it for a minute, and you hit me with a horse playing guitar riding a bicycle at the edge of a black hole. Make a story out of that, smart aleck. That's page I did, page number 216 of last year. So seriously, I don't know if most people that draw or paint have the courage to ask others to give opinions. Sometimes people are critical and judgmental. Those people don't matter, Susanna. They don't matter. People can be critical and judgmental, but you're doing this for you. Rick Rubin last year put out this dialogue about his creative process, and he talks about it in accordance with this. Everything he creates is a diary entry. This is his example. And so when you're writing in your diary, nobody gets to open up your diary and to tell you that you've entered something in your diary incorrectly. It's your diary. It's you transposing your thoughts onto a piece of paper. Nobody gets to criticize that or to make judgment on that or say, no, you've done this wrong. It's none of their business. You're making an entry into your diary, which is a very personal act. So if we look at whatever creative endeavors that we do as a personal act, and we say that I'm doing this because it's something that I feel the need to express, or I feel the need to explore, or I'm having fun doing something. There's no expectation of any return on it. I'm not, even if I do or don't share it with other people, if other people's response to whatever you're doing isn't something like, cool, that's great, and their response is just, it doesn't mean that looking at your work going, that is a great work of art. It's just, yeah, great, you did that thing. That validation might be the engagement. But you did that thing, and you did that thing for you, and you sat down with a story idea and you explored it and 150 different ways of interpreting it. And fantastic. Good. Well done. People, if they want to put criticism out towards there, if they want to throw their opinion at it, you should have done it this way. Neat. I mean, what more do you need to say to that? You don't need to validate yourself in any additional way. You've done the thing. You've actualized your individual creativity. Chris says, gotta go, see you around. Bye. Bye, Chris. Thanks for hanging out. So whatever the materials that you produce, whatever the creative exploration that you undertake, and whatever, you like to sing songs, sing songs. Sing them at the top of your lungs in your place. It's your place. You can sing songs, whatever you want to do. If you want to engage in whatever outlet that you want to engage in, as long as you're not hurting other people, what's the harm to yourself? Other people don't get to look at it and make critical evaluations that tear it down unless you've asked them to do so. If you put out a book and people look at the book on a shelf and they take the book down and say, this book was good or this book was bad, well, they can do that until the cows come home. But the reality is that they bought the book, they exposed themselves to it, their feelings on it, notwithstanding, does not in one iota change what you're doing. You did the book. You did the act, and you put the material out there, and whether people like it or not, you can't do anything about that at all. The same person might look at something that you yourself look at and go, I'm not a big fan of this. You appreciate the fact that somebody took the time and effort to make it and put it out there for you to be able to look at, but it doesn't suit your fancy. It isn't something that says, big wow, big wow, blew my socks off. But that other person that criticized your output, your material, they look at this and go, this is the most transcendent thing that I've ever seen. This is absolute perfection, and everybody else should just be doing this. And it'll never make sense to you why. It doesn't have to. It doesn't matter. And not to dismiss everybody else's opinion outside of your own noggin, but at the same time, or my own noggin. But the truth is that what you've produced is what you've produced. You can't just change it to continually try to appease the next person, because the next person's always going to have a different outlook and a different opinion. They're going to have different experiences, and they're going to have different associations, different aesthetic understandings. And if you're constantly trying to fulfill other people's wants, stop for a second and realize the grain of sand you are in the ocean of people in the world, and at how you're never going to fulfill everybody's want. You're just not. So the best thing that you can do is to try to develop and approach whatever things that you're creating, and to look at all the different viable ways that you can play with it. You can reinterpret it. You can explore it. From a simple thing of a captain on a boat saying, we're going to have to search, cabins because somebody's brought something weird on here. We came up with all of these different options together. How many more other options are out there to pursue? How much more can you play? There's no such thing as no idea. Here's a container I have full of drink, and if I spill this container of drink, or if I set this container on Corbin's bench that sits beside me, there are so many different possible outcomes of me setting this container on Corbin's bench beside me. Mundane act, mundane thing. Let your imagination flow. Let your creativity go for it. And if you feel like sharing, I'd love to see what it is. I'd love to see what you're doing. You're never going to hear from me, that's stupid, that's bad. There's no benefit. I get no benefit from doing that. Why would I do that to another person? And I get no benefit from other people if they were to say that to me. So why would I encourage other people? Hey, do me a favor, criticize what I'm doing. So I stand by if you have ideas to suggest. I stand by if you have suggestions of story ideas and or word prompts or anything like that you want to direct towards me. Please feel free to do so. I look forward to these. I really do. And I'm going to put this here again, right, to encourage, the where it diverges, the outcome of where, opportunities. Boy, it took me a second there. Opportunities. So where the diverge point is from whatever your initial story idea is, put that in parenthetical. So where the divergent point is from whatever the mundane idea that you approached is nothing but opportunities. So that is the way I look at each of the one-page or multiple-page stories that I do. I try to root the page in the points of the suggestion, and then I go. And whatever the story result is whichever path I went down. If it's the direct one, if it's a turn to the left, if it's a turn to the right, whatever it is leaving myself open to embracing the opportunities that were presented from it. So I highly encourage others to try the same. And at the same time, to feel comfortable suggesting whatever ideas at me, and I will continue to do the same. This year we're on page 114. My one son has suggested that if you can do one more page than you did last year, then you're streamlining your growth. That's a fun idea. If I stop doing pages at 120 for this year and focus instead on another element, it doesn't change the growth factor, but it does take things in a different direction. But always feel like you're expanding and growing and doing whatever it is that you're doing for a more richer sense of fulfillment. So the 114, 115, whatever it is I'm on now, just means this is how many pages we've done. It doesn't mean anything for anybody any more than it does. I'm just tabulating that myself because I'm a weirdo. And explore. See how much you can do. See how much you can create for yourself. Don't set yourself a timetable that has to keep up with anybody else. But do allow yourself the potential opportunities to pursue whatever it is that you're wanting to do, and whatever stamp that you have applied to it, and whatever structure that you have applied to it. But don't worry about what's going on with the Joneses next door. It's not the same thing. They're not doing what you're doing. Even if you guys are working on building, fences in your backyards at the very end of each of your yards, they're not going to be the same fence. They're just not, because that's your fence, and you spaced it 1 inch differently than your neighbor did. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay. Susanna says, smart son, you and Lori did a good job. Well, that's our second youngest. We've got a bunch of them, so we had lots of practice. He was the fourth down the line. We had a little more practice by that one. So thank you very much for that, by the way, Susanna. So anyways, that's my presentation for you for today. It doesn't actually involve me doing the actual drawing, but what I want to walk people through was the idea of the possibility of where the story could go. And I'll continue that on. What I'm actually going to do, and just to let it be known, is I'm going to conclude the initial idea that we had on the red piece of paper. I'm going to follow through, but it's a jelly plate. It's for making art. I will finish that page off, and then I will, in addition to that, explore one more page, one more alternate idea instead. And there's your expectation for some fun, and I'll post those in addition to the additional pages that I post on Patreon on the weekend. I will post that extra page, just because I love you all so much. Before I go, I want to make sure that I thank all the patrons that are helping make possible what it is that I'm doing, and I appreciate that. It's $3 support each month. It does help me be able to accommodate purchasing whatever materials I need to do this. So thank you again to them. Thank you to all of you that do tune in and check out whatever's going on in these streams and listen to my libbly blabble. And thank you for those that are still putting suggestions in the comments or the videos or for the Instagram or Facebook posts. And again, if there's anything that you see that's crossed my desk for a suggestion or an idea, and you want to explore that yourself, please do so. Please allow yourself to pursue that. You can't hurt yourself doing it unless you become a crazy paper flying over your shoulder in the dark, the dimly lit basement with lots of additional moisture that's bad for your lungs, and your eyesight goes dim because you're sitting in the dark. But generally, you can't hurt yourself from just trying out an idea and just allowing yourself the moment to try to find a new way of expressing yourself or a new means of communication. So please, I encourage you to do so and to pursue the gifts or the ideas that you've been given. Gang, I'm going to go for now. Okay? There is a big reveal video coming up a little bit later today. I'm sort of encouraging it now. I was hoping that it would be here by now, but the proof for the new book is coming today, and I'll do a quick little video to show that and to say, here's where we're at. Okay? And I hope that people might get an opportunity to check that out, and it'll be going out soon. So, with that in mind, thanks very much everybody for taking part in today. I will be coming up and putting this video out a little bit later as well, when I'm going to show my new book coming out, and we're really excited. We'll see what it looks like from the proof, if there's any corrections I got to make to it, because let's be honest, if it might not be perfect when it comes in. I might have made a slight mistake in the production of it, and so I have one more opportunity to correct that. But the point is that I'm going to show you it when I'm looking at it. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to be able to share that with you. And again, as I'm showing this new book, if people like it, lovely. If people don't like it, lovely. They gave it a shot to make that decision, and that's all we can do as creators, is put out something and say, here it is, world. But if you allow yourself to be receptive to criticism and judgment and all those things, then you're not going to allow yourself to do the next thing. If somebody looks at something and says, that's great, but have you heard of this approach to something? Use that as a chance for your own growth. But don't use it as a sense of crippling judgment on yourself to say, I've done something wrong, therefore I'm bad. So when I show this video today, if people don't like it, they don't like it. That's all we can do. But I'll be showcasing the new book proof as soon as it comes in the door. I'll do a video of it right there for you. Okay, gang, that's it for me for now. I'll see you later on today. And I hope, and if people don't see it, they don't see it. And if people go on to have their weekends, have a great weekend. But if you can make it back, or if you can give a chance to take a look at that, super duper. Otherwise, have yourself a wonderful weekend. In the meantime, bye for now. Hope to see you later on today. Take care, gang. Thanks for coming out.